today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Eddie Hearn tweeted, first announcement of a big card for Taylor versus Cameron. Terry Harper will defend her WBA world title against former undisputed welterweight champion Cecilia Brækhus on the undercard. The undercard of Taylor versus Cameron. I think that initially, for that fight between Terry and Cecilia, they may have had another date in mind. Initially they did, but they've gone ahead and made the decision to add this to the Taylor versus Cameron card, and I'm okay with it. My feelings haven't changed. I was a fan of Cecilia Brækhus for a very long time, and I'm still a fan of her, but I'm a realist. I don't have any illusions about what's about to happen once Terry and Cecilia share the ring. I have Terry Harper winning this fight. I have Terry Harper winning it wide. That's if she doesn't stop Cecilia. Not that Cecilia Brækhus has ever been stopped. She hasn't. She's only ever lost 2 fights, just 2 fights, both to the same fighter, Jessica McCaskill, which is nothing to be ashamed of. Jessica McCaskill over time has proven to be one of the most formidable fighters anywhere at or around these weights. Cecilia lost 2 fights to her, and all the belts, all the marbles at 147 pounds. This is her bid to see herself become a 2-division champion. I don't think it's going to work out. I think once they're both in the ring, what you're going to see that Cecilia has lost a step. What you're going to see is that she's always going to be 1 step behind Terry Harper. Even if she has reunited with her longtime trainer, Jonathan Banks, who I've always felt was a better fit for Cecilia, given her base style, her characteristics as a fighter. Even though she's back with Jonathan Banks, she's not with Abel Sanchez anymore. It's too little and too late. It's not going to make a difference. I don't think it's going to end well for the former undisputed welterweight champion, Cecilia Brækhus. I don't. I think over time, she's not the same fighter that she used to be. She's lost a step. There's no snap on her punches. She's 41 years old. She's 15 years older than Terry Harper. And even if she is vastly more experienced than Terry, Terry is coming into her best years. Terry's coming into her prime, whereas Cecilia is far removed from it. Terry's 26. Cecilia's 41. The night of, what you're going to see is that Cecilia Brækhus will always be 1 step behind Terry Harper. Terry's going to be too fast, too sharp, perhaps even too strong. I remember a couple of weeks ago, Terry Harper said she's not leaving junior middleweight, and she didn't. She really likes how she feels there. She feels stronger, not having to cut all the way down to 130 or 135 pounds at 154. This isn't going to end well for Cecilia. Terry Harper splits a professional record of 13 wins with 1 loss and 1 draw. 6 knockouts. She saw action 2 times last year, rebounding off the knockout loss to Alicia Baumgartner early last year, then capping off the year by becoming a 2-division champion opposite the ring, then WBA champion Hannah Rankin, who got herself back in the winner's bracket this weekend herself. Terry's going to beat Cecilia. She's set to do it on a very big stage. The opportunity to box on Katie Taylor's homecoming fight, there are going to be a lot of eyes on that fight. This could be a signature performance for Terry. Beyond that fight with Cecilia Brækhus, attention turns to Emma Kozin, Slovenia's Emma Kozin, who's currently ranked number 1 in the WBA's ranked standings. She's in position to become Terry Harper's mandatory challenger. Behind Emma is Hannah Rankin. Got herself back in the winner's bracket this weekend opposite the ring, the United States' own Logan Haller, and ranked right behind Hannah is Canada's own Mary Spencer, who's going to be sharing the ring with Brazil's own Adriana Araujo very soon. Any one of these 3 fighters, any one of these 3 up-and-comers, they could end up being Terry Harper's mandatory challenger, and that's where things get interesting. Where they might. Slovenia's Emma Kozin is a natural junior middleweight, you understand. And she's a young fighter. She's a young fighter like Terry is a young fighter, but she, unlike Terry, she didn't have to move up to junior middleweight per se. She's a natural junior middleweight. The same applies to Mary Spencer, who's massive. She's on the rebound. If she wins her next fight, it's conceivable that she will move up the WBA's ranked standings, inching closer to a title shot. Shot at Terry Harper's title. Irrespective of how Terry looks opposite the ring Cecilia Brækhus, what you have to understand is Cecilia, decorated fighter that she might be, she don't pose the same threat to Terry that some of these other girls might, because Cecilia Brækhus is not a natural junior middleweight. She's not as physically imposing as these other fighters. While Terry Harper did give a very good account of herself opposite the ring, then champion Hannah Rankin, who is in many ways a natural junior middleweight, Hannah don't speak for the rest of the weight class. Hannah don't speak for the rest of the division. These other fighters bring other characteristics, other challenges to the table for a fighter like Terry Harper. It's a developing situation to where, yeah, maybe Terry Harper can beat Cecilia Cecilia Brækhus. Maybe she's a shoo-in to beat Cecilia at this point, but would she be a shoo-in to beat an Emma Kozin? Would she be a shoo-in to beat Mary Spencer?
These girls are a lot bigger than she is.
Now, Terry, to her credit, is a world-class fighter and a two-division champion. She doesn't have a fuck ton of fights, but what fights she does have are against quality operators like Eva Wahlstrom, Natasha Jonas,
Katarina Tenders, Hannah Rankin.
and many of those girls up there at junior middleweight, they're not actually better boxers than Terry Harper per se, but they're bigger girls than Terry Harper. And that in and of itself poses its own set of challenges.
Just looking how it all breaks down, you wonder if Terry Harper's going to have an extended stay at junior middleweight, or will she at some point decide to move down to 147, maybe 140.
We'll see. For now, she's set to have former undisputed champion Cecilia Brækhus in front of her in May on the undercard of Taylor versus Cameron, and as stated, I think she's going to beat Cecilia. At minimum, I think she beats Cecilia on points. Men's heavyweight news, the ongoing situation between Team Fury and Team Usyk. Alexander Krassyuk, who promotes Alexander Usyk, said, spoiler for tomorrow, Tyson Fury sends out the draft agreement where there is no rematch clause, no anti-doping testing, only local judges, Usyk is forbidden to use his left hand, 5-minute rest between rounds, etc., and then goes on his Instagram like, you middleweight gap teeth rabbit, you've got the contract, you've shitted yourself. If it's not signed in 25 seconds, I'll fight Jake Paul next.
As ridiculous as all of that sounds, I don't put it past Tyson Fury because he's a ridiculous guy.
And that anybody could be defending him at this point in the juncture, given how difficult he's willfully made things.
You know, the usual weirdos are going up to bat for Tyson Fury. Guys that normally get ignored are logging into their alt accounts as we speak.
The drags of society in order to defend Tyson Fury's honor in the comment sections of social media posts on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube. They're doing their best.
They're trying.
And so is Frank Warren, who's doing his best to get in front of this thing.
He addressed Alexander Usyk's team's comments about Fury ducking Usyk, saying, this is the guy that went to Germany to fight Vladimir Klitschko, went to the USA 3 times to fight Deontay Wilder. The one thing about Tyson is he's got balls as big as just massive balls.
And there are still 1 or 2 guys swinging off of them, but the rest of the boxing community has had enough of Tyson Fury's shenanigans.
The latest being in reference to this rematch clause that initially he wanted, but now he wants it removed from the contract.
Both boxers have agreed to the split, and it'll be on. You know, it's just a matter of, contracts, but they're not going to be a problem. I know we'll get this on. And I was just listening to what both of the guys have said today. And from Tyson's perspective, he's just basically putting it out there that, just put it all on the table. Why you want a rematch? Let's just get on with the fight and do the fight between the two.
Okay, I've got 2 questions for you. The first question is, as things currently stand with the contract, is there a rematch clause in it?
Well, at the moment, there's a draft contract flowing between our 2 respective sides, and we're addressing each point. Most of it's agreed. There's a couple of points in there to be sorted out, but they'll be done. Okay. Like I said from the beginning, we'll get this fight over the line, and we've been working hard to do it, and it will get over the line because you know what? Both fighters want it. There's not a question of Usyk wants it and Tyson doesn't. Tyson wants the fight. He's the one who put it out there, said, come on, let's get it on. Here are the terms and let's go. And obviously...
But currently, Frank, does it have that rematch clause in it?
No, because no one signed anything.
You can clearly hear that Frank Warren is being creative about things. Approximately 3 days ago, Alexander Krassyuk sat down with Rob Tebbett of ID Boxing, and he actually mentioned the rematch clause.
This was 3 days ago.
Rematch clause? Is it 1 fight that you're looking at? Is it 2 fights? Either
2
way,
fights?
Regardless of who wins?
Absolutely. And I never heard anything negative on this point from Tyson's side. So they were actually asking for it.
This interview conducted by Rob Tebbett of ID Boxing with Alexander Krassyuk is from 3 days ago. He said it then, and he's saying it now.
It's the Fury people that wanted the rematch clause.
They're the ones who insisted there be a rematch clause. Now Fury himself is doubling back on that.
When they ask for a rematch clause, when they consider money to fight, if that would be an easy fight like Chisora, would he hesitate? I don't think so. There's a risk There's a huge risk for Tyson, and he knows this.
Now he says he doesn't want the rematch clause, but Igis Klimas, Alexander Krassyuk, they're saying, hey, we weren't the ones insisting on a rematch clause. That was you guys.
But if it was Tyson Fury's side of it that initially insisted on a rematch clause, why are they now going back on that? And I told you in my previous video, I think Tyson Fury is trying to drag this out long enough that the WBA goes ahead and reorders the Dubois fight.
It's what I think this is. Attempting to negotiate a fight with Tyson Fury, Frank Warren, and just all of those people.
Are you noticing a pattern yet?
Where does dealing with him compare to dealing with Anthony Joshua? You mentioned there about...
Nightmare.
Expand on that. How is it different? Obviously, we saw 2 fights in one instance, and we're yet to see the other fight. But
Listen, with Eddie, I mean, we had 5 fights together. I never had any trouble dealing with Matchroom. According to my experience, I need to give a big credit to Matchroom and to Eddie and to Frank, because I enjoy watching how they work. I like it. The negotiations never last that long. It's very easy. We are not wasting each other's time.
You hear what the man is saying. The contrast between doing a fight with Matchroom and doing a fight with Queensberry, doing a fight with Anthony Joshua and doing a fight with Tyson. Tyson's trying to waste your time.
Yours, mine, everybody's.
where does dealing with him compare to dealing with Anthony Joshua? You mentioned there about...
Nightmare.
Expand.
Frank Warren is out there performing damage control on the whole goddamn thing, insisting that Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk will get finalized for April 29th at Wembley. Like I said from the beginning, we'll get this fight over the line. It will get over the line because both fighters want it.
Not based on how this looks. Tyson Fury is going out of his way to make this set of negotiations quite difficult.
How confident are any of you out there that this fight will happen on schedule in late April? How confident are you?
Of course Frank Warren is running interference for Tyson Fury. He promotes him. Of course he's saying this now.
But how confident are any of you out there that he can deliver based on what's going on?
It's almost like Tyson Fury is sifting through the terms that were already agreed upon a few days ago and looking for a sticking point that might cause Usyk to walk away. Or at minimum, drag this out long enough that the WBA reorders the Dubois fight.
Because the news just a few days ago was that they reached a deal. They agreed to terms, and now Fury is looking to change them.
Why is the question.
And finally, in men's lightweight news, Oscar De La Hoya crowns Gervonta Davis as the quote-unquote best lightweight, saying Tank is the guy. There's no doubt about it.
Yes, there is.
People say it all the time. It's not like Gervonta Davis is the consensus #1 lightweight in the world across the board. In fact, there are a lot of people that say the opposite.
And isn't this disrespectful to Devin Haney, this division's undisputed champion?
Yes, in many ways it is, but Oscar's not attempting to sell a Devin Haney fight. He's trying to sell a fight between his guy, Ryan Garcia, and Gervonta, who he says, Tank is the guy.
What guy?
There's no doubt about it. Tank's the guy.
Another instance of boxing in and of itself, selling its soul for the almighty dollar. You know, fanboys are going to fanboy, and the journos, they have their favorites.
The pundits, as do the sanctioning bodies, and the promoters themselves. I mean, if Oscar De La Hoya is saying this, it's in order to sell a fight. Though, how far do you need to go in order to do that? You're crowning this guy the #1 lightweight in the world without him having earned it.
What's his lightweight resume? A journeyman in Gamboa, a nobody in Isaac Cruz,
a super featherweight in Hector Garcia, and a retard in Rolly Romero. That's all you have to do to become #1 at lightweight.
Apparently to Oscar it is.
Oscar De La Hoya, who says, I believe Davis versus Garcia can break 2.4 million pay-per-view buys me and Mayweather did.
You wish.
Let's not be coy about things here. Oscar De La Hoya is not a pugilist anymore. He's a promoter, and what he's doing is promoting his fight. That's expected.
Yeah, it is, but there's a thin line between being boisterous and bullshitting.
I truly feel in terms of numbers in business, I really do feel this is like Mayweather versus De La Hoya. De La Hoya told a group of reporters following a press conference Wednesday at the Palladium Times Square, "I believe it can do, people called me crazy when I said it can do 2 million homes. I believe it can break 2.4 million homes that me and Mayweather did. It's that big of a fight. Come to think of it, I believe that Ryan, or maybe Tank, is bigger than Mayweather was when he fought me, with world titles, and he has popularity and Instagram followers and this and that. So we're in a different world. We're in a different, time. These kids are the very best, and the fact that they are fighting each other, it creates a perfect storm."
The promoters and the powers that be often turn to the fighters' social media following as an example of how big they are. But social media and following someone by way of social media, that's free. Pay-per-views aren't.
You're marketing this fight towards a younger audience, a tech-savvy younger audience that knows where to go to get an illegal stream to watch a fight. You're not marketing this towards the blue-collar 9-to-5 guys, the guys in their mid-30s, early 40s, so on and so forth, that have disposable income to spend on a fight. You're marketing this fight towards children
That likely still live at home with their parents.
How much disposable income have they got to spend on a fight? Leonard Ellerby,
Now that he's crawled out of his hole.
Leonard stated, "Love it or hate it, for years I've been saying Gervonta will eventually be the biggest star in the sport. When he wins on April 22nd, he will be the new face of boxing.
Well, first he has to win.
Then he has to be able to duplicate that success and those metrics moving forward with what other fights he ends up having. Just because you sell a bunch of pay-per-views with Ryan doesn't mean you're going to sell that with everybody."
And given that piracy and illegal streaming is at an all-time high, we don't even know how many pay-per-views you are going to sell with Ryan. It's not like you've cracked 300,000 on your own.
Gervonta Davis has been on pay-per-view 5 times. He has yet to crack 300,000 pay-per-view buys, yet Oscar estimates this fight is going to sell in excess of 2 million.
Yeah, but Oscar's a cokehead.
I'm just saying, it's not hard for somebody who treats their nose to that booger sugar to get carried away.
Oscar's a cokehead.
I don't actually believe this fight will come anywhere near selling that many pay-per-view buys, if I'm being honest. Maybe it'll do 1 million or in the neighborhood of 1 million.
The tickets themselves to be at the fight have already sold like hotcakes, and that is encouraging, but I anticipated that the fight would do a very good gate.
It's at the box office that there are questions that need answers.
Don't spend this much time talking up this fight just for it to do around 500 or 600,000.
Canelo Alvarez can pull in those kind of numbers off his name alone. That's what he did with Bivol.
You two had to come together to do whatever you're about to do.
And it better be big.